All right, let's dive in. We're about to look at just 5 short verses from the Gospel of Matthew. But don't let the length fool you. Sometimes the most revolutionary stories are packed into just a few lines. And this is one of them, an encounter that completely flipped the social order of its time and laid out a mission that, honestly, still challenges us today.
So, to really get why this story is such a big deal, you first have to understand our main character's job. The word is publican, and this wasn't just some boring desk job. These guys were tax collectors for the Roman Empire, the occupying army. In the eyes of their own people, their fellow Jews, this made them the ultimate sellouts, traitors who were getting rich off the backs of their community. They weren't just disliked, they were totally despised.
And this is where it gets interesting. So where does Jesus find this guy, Matthew? Not in a synagogue, not in some holy place, nope. He finds him right in the middle of his hustle at the tax booth. This is the very spot that defines him as an outcast, the place that made him an enemy to his own people. And that's exactly where Jesus goes.
Now, what happens next? You might expect a big lecture, right? Or maybe a list of things Matthew needs to do to clean up his act. But that is not what happens at all. It's stunningly simple. Just 2 words, follow me. That's all Jesus says, and Matthew's reaction? It's just as immediate. He gets up and just walks away from it all. I mean, think about that. He's leaving behind a seriously lucrative career, a whole life of financial security, in a single instant. In that moment, the despised tax collector becomes a disciple.
Okay, so as you can imagine, a move this bold is gonna make some waves. It doesn't just go unnoticed, it sparks an immediate firestorm. And it all goes down at a dinner party.
So Matthew throws this huge party to celebrate his new life. And who do you invite to your party? Your buddies, right? Well, Matthew's friends are, let's just say, they're the wrong crowd. We're talking other tax collectors, people the good religious folks would cross the street to avoid. And there's Jesus, right in the middle of it all, eating with them. And of course, the religious establishment, the Pharisees, they see this, and they are just horrified. Their question to Jesus' followers is absolutely dripping with contempt. From where they stood, holiness meant keeping yourself separate from anything unclean. So for them, seeing a rabbi eating with these people, it was a scandal. It was just unthinkable. Jesus overhears them, and his response is just brilliant. He completely flips the script on them with this amazing analogy. He basically says, you're looking at this all wrong. This isn't about getting dirty. It's about healing. I mean, think about it. Where do doctors go? They go to the sick, right? They go where they're needed.
And right there, in that one exchange, you see these 2 totally clashing worldviews. On one hand, you had the Pharisees, who are all about building walls to protect their purity. But on the other hand, you have Jesus, who's all about tearing down walls to bring healing. It's separation versus engagement, protection versus restoration.
But Jesus isn't done. He's not just going to leave it with a clever analogy. He's about to drop the theological mic, laying out the core principle behind everything he does. And this next part is my favorite. Instead of just spoon-feeding them the answer, he gives them homework. He tells these guys, who think they know it all, go back to your books. Go and learn what this really means. It's an incredible challenge to the experts.
And the verse he throws at them, it's the absolute core of his whole point. It's from the prophet Hosea. And man, it draws a line in the sand between 2 very different ways of thinking about faith and what God actually wants.
See, back in Hosea's day, people were doing all the right religious things. They were making the sacrifices, checking the boxes, but their hearts weren't in it. There was no real compassion. And God says through the prophet, look, I care more about mercy than all your empty rituals. Jesus is basically telling the Pharisees, you guys are doing the exact same thing. You're so obsessed with the rules of being clean that you've totally forgotten the whole point, which is to show mercy.
And that all leads to this, the punchline of the whole story, the mission statement boiled down to one powerful sentence. He's saying, my job isn't to hang out with people who think they have it all together. I came for the ones who know they're sick, the ones who know they need a doctor.
So what does this mission look like in real life? It looks like Matthew, an incredible total transformation. This guy immediately obeyed, leaving his wealth behind, and became a powerful symbol of Jesus' entire mission to the marginalized. And the ending is just astonishing. The despised tax collector becomes one of the 12 apostles and the author of the very gospel that tells his own story. You just can't make this stuff up.
So that leaves us with a pretty challenging question, doesn't it? Jesus used that old verse from Hosea to shake up the religious assumptions of his day. And it kind of does the same for us. It makes you stop and ask, in my own life, in my community, what does it actually look like to prioritize real, heartfelt mercy over just going through the motions?
Something to think about.